Before starting, if anyone have any question, you can ask. Anyway, okay. Hmm. Okay then. If no questions, then I'll start. So I will actually use this markdown that I have written, and these markdown are present on Discord. So I will share that link also at the end. But let's start with SQL Alchemy. Okay, tell me one thing. Are you people comfortable with Flask, like creating basic routes and accessing those? Yes? No? Yes? Okay. Because that will be used here. Hmm. Okay, so this is configuration part. Let me open the app.py and I will show you one by one what it is doing. So comment this one out. This is APIs and okay. So to start, first we need to import SQL Alchemy class from SQL Alchemy class SQL Alchemy. We need to import SQL Alchemy class that will be used to create this object of SQL Alchemy, and we also need class from class library. Okay. So we create the application instance using class and the file reference of this file, that is sender name. Then we define a configuration. Okay, so this part is important. You say app.config and here you pass a key, that is database, sorry, SQL Alchemy, what it is doing, SQL Alchemy database URI, and you give the dialect and address what you want to create, like where you want to create the database. Okay, so if I say database dot SQLite 3, so it will create all the database in this file, database SQLite 3. So this is the name of the file where database will be created. Okay, what this configuration is saying, where my database will be stored. SQL database, SQL Alchemy database URI is the uniform address of this database. Okay, now once this configuration is done, you can connect your database object to the application. So how we do that? We create the SQL Alchemy instance passing the application. And there is another way actually. What you can do, first you create the empty instance and then you later on you connect it using init application. You connect this to the application. Okay, so these are the two ways you can use any one of these, either line 63 or line 64, 65. Okay, is this part clear to everyone? How to connect this? Okay, less population. People are joining and doesn't matter. Okay, once you have this database object, then what you can do, you can create database classes. How we do that? It's a class and then we have to inherit from a very specific class called database db.model. So this object have a model class and we will use to inherit this class to create our models. Now where this model will be used, these model will be used to create the objects that will be stored in your database. And actually these are the tables that you will see in your database. So let's say if this table have student ID is equal to db.column, and here you define, first thing you define is the type, and so db dot integer, and then I can say primary key, and this there is name. Okay. And so all of you know a little bit of DBMS. So you must be knowing what is a primary key and what is a not null constraint. So I am using those constraints here. This line is saying I want to create a column in my table which have a name student ID. It will be of integer type and this column will be used as a primary key in the table. And the second line is saying there will be another column named student name. This column will have a string type of attribute and which have a character length of 50 characters, max length of 50 characters, and this will be not null, like it have a not null constraint. Okay. Anyone having any doubt in this basic creation of table? Now you can have more than this. Let's say there is roll number, which can be like maybe dot integer and unique equals to nullable equal false. So if I have this basic student table, and yeah, there is one more thing. You can define the table name explicitly where I can say student. Okay, I asked you a question. If I don't define this render table name, what is the default table name that this class will get? Anyone knows the answer? No one? Okay. So whatever name you will give to your table will be used in lowercase for the table name. Okay, so the class name in the lowercase will be used as table name by default. Well, you can give it explicitly also using this variable underscore underscore table name. Okay, now I can define another class, let's say course, which will again inherit from db.model, and here I can say table name equal course, course ID equal db.column, db.integer, and this will again be primary key equals true, and course will have a course name which should be string, and this is again a 50 character length string. Okay, if I don't give any value to this, then it will create a variable length string that can take any number of characters. Okay, but I can define the max length explicitly by defining this as 50, so it will take at most 50 characters. Now for this I can say nullable equals to false, which means you have to provide the course name, and there can be a course code which will be a string, and it will be of let's say 5 characters or 6 characters, something like that, and it will be unique for each course, and it should not be nullable. And I guess for roll number we can also give it as string. First roll number may include a few characters which are not integers. Okay. So anyone having any doubt regarding these two classes that I have created? If you have, please ask. Presentation not visible. Okay. You pointed out it quite clearly. You should inform me as soon you notice something. Hmm. Is it visible now? So it was not visible for a long time, right? Hmm. Okay. You should have informed me. Hmm. Is this, should I explain again what I did in these two tables? Please repeat. I thought it was technical glitch. Okay. So what I was saying that you can define these tables as a classes. For that, you need to write this class, class name, followed by this argument, which is the inheritance argument. You give table dot sorry db dot model, which means this student class will inherit from db dot model. This class will be used to create the model class. And now you can define the table name which will be used to give the table name, and if you don't define it, then this class name will be converted to lowercase and used as the table name. So by default it will make it to a student, but I have given it explicitly. If you want to change it, then you have to use this underscore underscore table name for that. Okay. Now coming to these are db dot columns, which means in your table, in your database table, these column will be present. What are these columns? First column is the student ID, which is of integer type, and it is a primary key in this table. Okay. So I hope you people know what is a primary key. Yes? No? Okay. Now, second column, I'm saying that it will be named student name. It will be of string type, and this will consume, like this will have at most 50 characters. By default, it won't take any null values. Like you have to provide the value. So nullable equals to false. And here I have a third column here, which is roll number, which will be of string 10 character length, and this will be unique in the table, which means you cannot have two rows with same roll number, and it will also be null, not null. Okay. Now one more thing I mentioned, that you can remove this argument from db.string, which makes it variable length, and you can give any number of characters to this column. But I guess it's a better practice that you always mention a rough estimate what you require. Okay. Now I have another table named courses. So this course table is here, and it have a course ID which will be primary key, a course name which will be not null, and a course code which will be unique and not null. Is this fine? Okay. Well, I assume that you people are mm, getting what I'm saying. Okay. Now we can define few types of relation between this student and course. So, what kind of relationship exists in SQL? Like when you have two tables, what kind of a relationship can exist between those two tables? Can anyone name those? Wait, responsive classes. Um, this is a one to one, one to many. Well, many to one is a similar thing if you see it from the opposite way. Like if I say for one student can take many courses, then it's the one to many from student to courses. But if I say from courses to student, then it's many to one. So which way you are seeing, make it one to many or many to one. Okay. So still I will mention it separately and many to many. Now we will see how to implement these relationship between these these two tables. Okay. First, one-to-one relationship. What this means that for each student there will be only one course, and that course will be only taken by that specific student. No other student can take that course, and that student cannot take any other course, which means student and course both will be unique in such case. Okay. So how do we create that one-to-one relationship? Okay, so what I said that for each student there will be only one course allowed. So to implement this table, student table, have unique roll number, which means it will have only unique entries to the student. Now what I can do, I can create a relationship here. Student is equal to db dot relationship, and this db dot relationship is used to create relationship. And here I have to mention to which um, table I am creating relationship. I am creating relationship to student. Then I need to mention what I am using here. So db dot foreign key equal, and here I need to mention the foreign key. So that will be student dot student ID, roll number. Both can be used here. This is not this way, not equals. It should be called here, and not in the form of relationship. So as a column, it will be. I have to mention the compatible type, the student type. Okay, and I can give it unique equals to. Now this makes it one to one. Why it makes it one to one? Because for each student, this table will have unique IDs of the student, which is unique entries for the student, and this table, which is linking it, you have student ID for course as unique entry. So for each entry for the course, you will have registered a student ID that is unique. You can give the course ID here as unique also. Okay, so this is like a table level constraint. But in SQL Alchemy, you have something called relationships, which can be used to define this. So if you want to define a relationship using a relationship, this one-to-one relationship, then you can provide this use list equals to false. This is written to here. This is incorrect. This should be false here as well. So this use list refers to a property that when you call this object here, then it cannot give multiple objects as a result. It will provide only single result. Okay. Is anyone getting what I'm saying? Aman, hello. Aman, am I audible? Yes. Are you people getting what I'm saying or not? Like if you not getting anything or you want to ask anything specific, then please speak because this is kind of weird that I am just speaking and there is no response from other side. Okay. Just a second. Okay, I'll carry on. Well, now these relationship this can be used to specify a relation. Specific. Uh, Hello everyone. So see, I guess you people are not much interested in the concept. Like I guess you have already studied. So what I do, I start with the PYQ. Okay, and let's see what we know there. Okay, any specific paper you want to take, or I take the first one or second one, or any specific paper that we want to solve. Any preferences from where can we download that preview SQL file? So that is a markdown file, and I have posted it on Discord. Let me show you. So if you go there, I'll share you the link. Hmm. where it is. Just a second. Yeah, this post. So okay, so this is the link. You can go to that and download it. And yeah, any preferences, any PYQ that you want to solve, or I take the first one. Nothing. Okay. Well, in that case, I am taking this first one. Let's see. So this first question is a theory question regarding scale up and scale out. So what we mean by scale up, when we modify our machine, like our existing machines to handle more requests or yeah, more load, then that kind of modification is called scale up. Okay. And when we install new machines to handle more load, then that kind of modification or that kind of scaling is called scale out. Okay. So what this question is saying, you manage a data center where each server has a 10 gigabit per second network to connection, and faculty backbone link is also 10 Gbps. Okay. So that is same. Your application is handling 10,000 requests per second each, where the 50 KB response, which translates about 4 Gbps of requirement throughput. So they actually calculated it for you. If you calculate it, it will come to 4 Gbps. Okay. And so if each request involves minimal CPU processing and the existing server is sufficient resource to handle or has sufficient resource to handle the load, which of the following scaling strategies is the most appropriate to meet the demand? Okay, first thing that this question is a bit faulty, because when they say to meet the demand, well, demand is already met. We are not lagging behind, so there is nothing to meet. But what they are asking for, what will be the scaling strategy to scale in future? And this question actually was very controversial in that term. And what answer they provided, the instructor, what they like that said that this will be scale up. And the reason they said that if you scale up, then first scale up goes, and if that is not sufficient, then we scale out. Okay, so that was their reasoning, and you cannot actually argue for that, because it's their thing. Whatever they say, you have to agree. This kind of thing. That okay. So this scale up on a single server was the answer for this question. I remember it because this was a very controversial thing that time. Okay. Uh, anyone having any doubt regarding this question? What scale up means? What scale out means? Why this answer is incorrect? Sorry, why this answer is correct? No. Okay. Now, which of the following statement best describes the key advantage of Jinja to server-side rendering over JavaScript JSON-based client-side rendering? So first thing, when you say server-side rendering, which means you are creating the HTML and entire document on the server side and sending over network to the client, which will just present it. And when you say this JavaScript JSON-based client rendering, then you send the base HTML, which will be the base framework, like base frame of the page, and component wise you will load it using JavaScript, and it's called Ajax actually. So you just fetch the JSON data and load it into your page. Okay. So now what advantages it have? Okay, so it guarantees that dynamic update on user interaction never require additional data fetches. This is true. It provides a faster initial load and improves search optimization without requiring client-side template logic. This is also true. Actually, this was asking for the best, and again, you can argue that first option is also correct, second option is also correct. What answer they have provided is the second one. They prioritize the search engine optimization over this dynamic update thing. So here the second answer was correct, was the answer provided by them. First answer is also correct, but again, this is best. What is best? It's a subjective question. Okay. Looking at the third option, it allows the client to handle all template rendering, reducing load on the server. No, quite opposite. Jinja 2, if you using server-side rendering, then all the load is on the server. Server is creating all the page content and sending it over the network. That just that client just displays. Okay, so all the load is on the server. So this one is wrong. First two options are correct, but again, which one best describes? It's a subjective question, and the answer they chosen was second option. Okay. Okay. So this table is given where this ID is one column and a score is other. Now, which of the following Python statement will print the maximum score value? Okay. So, well, if you have DB object, you can query on the session or query on the table. Here the table name is exam score. So either you can say exam score dot query or you can say db dot session dot query. Both will work. Now what we are doing here, we are checking for the maximum. So to check for the maximum, there is a function called maximum which is present inside func of SQL Alchemy. Okay, so we have to say query func max and maximum, of which column you have to provide the column name. So exam score dot score, which is this column, we want the maximum value of this column, and we are querying over it, which means the row associated with the maximum score. So when you run this thing, you will get this row 298, and then what we're doing after that is running dot scalar. What dot scalar will do? Dot scalar will provide the second value in the selected row. In the first row, the second value, which means it will skip this 2 and give out 98. Okay, and this option is correct. Why other options are wrong? Let's see that. So first option is directly using max on query. Query doesn't have max. Query is provided by func, which you have to import from SQL Alchemy. Then third option, querying is correct, max is correct, but they are not using dot scalar or any way that they can fetch this 98. When you run this, you will get this 298. Okay, and no, actually you will get the query object. They are not using dot first also, so you will not get any row. You will get the query object. And the problem with fourth one is again the max is not defined under query. It is defined under func that you have to import. So these are the reason why these options are correct. Yeah, please speak. If we have to find which ID has the highest score, then what we can do? Okay, if you have to find which ID is giving this, then what you can do here, first you find the first row associated with that using dot first, and then you will get the row. After that, you will use the column name which is associated with ID. So here ID is associated with ID. So you will say dot ID. Dot first, call that whatever result you will get there, say dot ID. So it will give you the ID associated with the highest score. Okay, let me write that. First you will, so the remaining query you will write here, remaining query dot first dot ID. This will give you the ID associated with it. Okay. Here also you can use dot first dot score. That is also possible. Scalar just makes it slightly less like work to type. Nothing else. You have to type one object less. So not any major benefits. Okay. What is the right syntax to use an external JavaScript file into the current HTML file? And I hope you people know this. So anyone would like to answer this? No one? Okay. So see, to include a JavaScript file into your HTML document, you have to use script tag with src attribute. So src refers to the source and script tag, which means script is used here. Okay, and script means JavaScript by default. So you will use script src is equal to js file. Okay, .js, and then you close the script tag. Now href is wrong, import is wrong, and link is also wrong. So this is the syntax to include a JavaScript file. Now we have this class file named main.py, where what we are doing, we are importing class and render template from class library, and then we creating the application instance. Then we provided this route which says slash text slash size and two URL parameter. First one is integer type size and second one is string type color. So if nothing is given, then it means the string type parameter. Okay, and then we are receiving these two parameter into our function. Then what we do is style equal to font size equal to string of size and plus px. So this entire thing will be like, if here I pass 20, so it will be font size colon 20 px. Okay, and color is color. Now we return the render template index.html and we provide this style css equal to style. Let's see what this index.html is doing. So it will have a div color is equal to style css of color. So style css, if you see, style css variable is linked to style variable, which is a dictionary. So we can use this square bracket notation to fetch a specific value associated with this given key. Now we are saying style css of color, which means the value associated with the color key. Okay, so key color have this color variable which will be coming from the URL. So let's see what URL we are. Okay, so we have options for URL. And then font size will be also associated with this font size variable, which will be size plus tx. Okay, then we have to check which URL will correctly render this output. So this is in red color and size I cannot determine by just seeing. So any size is okay. Let's check. So here text. Okay. First thing, that this way of writing the URL path defines these as URL parameter, which means this have to be separated by forward slash from our base URL. Let's see which does it correctly. So this is using question mark. This is wrong. Same problem. Question mark. This is wrong. Now these two are using forward slashes. Now match the URL. Forward slash text forward slash size red and 20. Okay. So text size and here it says red and red is not an integer. So this is wrong. And then this is 20 and red and this is correct. So 20 will be set as size and red will be set as color. Is this fine? Anyone having any doubt? Okay. Okay, so this is our decorator question. Now what is decorator? Will replace the original function's definition. Can you explain the last part? More last part? Where you can open up your mic and speak up if you're not getting something. Or you can describe it more clearly in your comment. Red color. Okay, how URL parameter is handling that. Okay. So see, look at this URL path here given in the route. It says forward slash text will be there, then forward slash size, and there these two variables will be there, which means it will take something from URL. The first thing should be compatible with integer, and the second thing can be any string. Okay. Now look at the URL. The first thing is red, which is not integer. You cannot do int of red. It will throw value error. So this is the problem. If you see the second URL, it is saying 20. 20 can be formed as integer. So this is correct. And the second one is red. So this is correct. Okay. Prashant? FYN. What that means? Fine. Now, this decorator actually replaces the original definition of the function with the function definition that it provides in the inner function. Here the inner function is called wrapper. So what wrapper is saying, wrapper will take two arguments a and b and it will call the func x which it will receive. So this foo will be passed as func x and it will call the foo, store the result and square the result and return it. So whatever result you will get from foo, you will square it when you use this decorator. So we are passing for 5 2. So what it will do? 5 minus 2 and square the result. So 5 minus 2 is 3 and square the result will be 9. 9 is correct. So you people know na, what decorator is and how it works. Silence the key. Okay. So I assume that you know. If you don't know, then speak up. Now explain this. Sure. Can you revise that one? How decorator works? For that, I will use Python tutor to demonstrate how decorator works. Python tutor. Yes, I have. Yeah, this is here. Sorry. Python tutor is. So let me write this decorator. So how to define a decorator? A decorator is a higher order function that receives a function of type function it is not registering the type function, but no problem. That takes a function, defines the inner function that takes the same argument as the original function definition. Let me write the original function definition as well. So if this original function definition, function 1, takes x, y, and z in that case and do something with it. I'm not sure what it is doing right now, but we will see that. So this inner function will have the same signature, or I should say a compatible signature with the outside function, the target function. So this one defines that it will have a three positional argument. Inner function also saying it will have a three positional argument, compatible. Now you can define this inner function as you like. So you can do something before, like printing uh, before, okay. Then whatever you want to do, you can do. After that, you can store the result of the target function. So let's say this func you have passed here, you can call it with x, y, and z. You can use this result and do something after that also. So when after once you done with all the processing that you want, you can return something related to this result, or maybe something entirely new. So if I say result plus 2 or something like that, or maybe if I return anything which is totally unrelated, that is also fine. And inside like after you done with this inner function definition, you can return this inner function. Now what it is effectively doing, whenever you write add func sorry add decor and you define a function below it, let's say func2 xyz, which matches the signature of inner function, and you do something here. So you are saying func2 will be replaced with decor of func2. Okay, now this looks complicated here, but it is as same as you are replacing a function with another value. So what is a function? Function is also object in Python. You can pass the object into a function as a parameter and replace them also. So what is happening here? If you see decor, what decor returns? Inner, which means at this point, when you write add decor over this function, you are effectively saying that I want to replace func2 with inner. So wherever you use func2 from this point, it will be calling inner, not func2 but inner. Okay. So decorators are just syntactic sugar over function replacement. Okay. Are you people getting it what I said? Yes? Okay. So looking at this function, what is written here, what this calculate is doing. Calculate receives the function which will be this function 4, because we passed it as a decorator, we annotated it as a decorator, then this 4 will be passed to calculate, and whatever result calculate will give will be replaced into 4 variables. So when you write this, you are actually writing, let me write that here. So pen. So when you write that, you are actually writing 4 equal calculate of 4. So whatever result you will get from calculate, you will store that into 4. Okay. So let's see what calculate is giving. Calculate is giving wrapper, which means at this point, 4 is replaced with wrapper. Now whenever you call 4, you will call wrapper. Now look at this print 4 of 5 comma 2. Now this you're calling wrapper of 5 comma 2. Okay. A is 5, B is 2. In this definition, you are calling funcx 5 comma 2. But this funcx is the original function that was defined here, which means you are doing x minus y. So this x is storing 3 and then you are squaring the result and returning that. So here you will return 9 and that I marked as the answer. Are you getting? Okay. Now, template strings is another easy topic that can give you like 2-3 marks easily. And this one also, decorator is also an easy topic. You just need to know the control flow of the Python program here, and there is nothing more complicated than that. Okay. And yeah, it is possible that you don't call this at all. This x equal to funcx can be omitted, and in that case, it's still a function replacement, but it is not depending upon previous function. So just don't assume that it will necessarily call the previous function. It's optional. It's the choice of this wrapper function, what it want to do. From string import template. Now, hmm, x minus y part, how it will be executed? How it will be executed? See, when you replace this, you still have the reference to the previous function, which means you have access to this definition. Now you have this a, which is 5, you have this b, which is 2. You pass this 5 comma 2 into the previous function and stored the result. So the previous function was saying just subtract those two arguments. You subtracted those two arguments, 5 minus 2 is 3. You stored 3 x equal to 3. Okay. After that, you return x square, which is 3 squared 9. Fine. Okay. Now, yeah, string templating is another easy topic. How this thing works? So you define the variables here with this dollar symbol. So here two variables are provided, lang and desc, or three variables, lang, desc, and useful. So to create a template, you create an object of template class, and to render it, you use substitute or save substitute functions. Now, what is the difference between these two? Can anyone like answer? Can anyone tell me what is the difference between substitute and save substitute? No one? Okay. So I'll tell you. So here three variables are required. If you provide all three or even more, then it is fine. But if you miss out something in substitute, then it will throw a key error. Okay. Substitute throw a key error, whereas save substitute will use the variable itself if not provided. Which means if you are running save substitute with lang Python, then it will say the Python programming language is $DESC and $useful for web development. Where substitute will throw a key error in this case because DESC and useful variables were not provided. Okay. So what they are asking, which one will throw key error? First thing, substitute can only throw key error. Save substitute will not throw key error. And For substitute to throw key error, you must omit some required variables. So here are three variables required: lang, DSC, and useful. And here we used only one, so this will provide the key. Okay. What? Didn't understand it. Substitute throws key error on placeholder while safe substitute ignores. Safe substitutes handle that key error with the variable itself. Okay. So if no key found for that variable, then use the variable as a value itself. Okay? Now, Bipin Raj didn't understand. What you didn't understand, Bipin? Hello? At what part you didn't understand? From the starting? Okay, I guess, yes. Then let me do that. Okay, so string templating uses a dollar symbol. Hmm, this substitute question. Yeah, I get it. Okay, so string templating uses a dollar symbol to define variables, which means this message here have three variables because we're creating template of this. So the template object will have three variables in it. That is lang, or you can say variables or keys in it. Lang, DSC, and useful. So these three keys are present in this template object. Now it is asking for which is throwing key error. Okay. So key error, only substitute can throw key error, and it will do that when some required key is not provided. Here in this question, three keys are required. That is lang, DSC, and useful. And if you see the first statement, it is using substitute, which means it can throw key error, and it is giving only one key. Okay. Compare it to the second option, which is also using substitute, but it is providing all three required keys. Okay. Lang, DSC, and useful. So this one is missing some required keys, so it will throw a key error. Okay, Bipin? Bipin? Difference between substitute and safe substitute. So substitute throws key error, whereas safe substitute replaces the value with the variable itself. You can think of like it just ignores that. Okay. So if you do the safe substitute with lang only for option 3, you will get the Python programming language is $DSC. Why $DSC? Because it is not provided, so it will use the key itself. $DSC and $useful for web development. Okay, is it fine? Got it. Okay. Now here, what they want. Okay, so this is a Python, sorry, a class program. What this is doing, this is defining this valid user dictionary. Each dictionary, sorry, a list of dictionaries, and each dictionary have UID, student password. Okay, so UID and password for various members. Now we creating the application instance and defining this final route where we are using request.arg. So what does request.arg do? It will fetch the um, query parameters. So what are query parameters that you define after question mark? So after this question mark, you're saying UID equal to professor. So this is a query parameter, and to represent second query parameter, password equal 54321. And if you place another and, then you can place another query parameter here. Okay. So what they are asking for, assume the above class app run on this address and is accessed through web browser, then what will be the output for the URL? Okay, what will be the output for URL? Now let's see what is the problem. So professor and password is sent. Professor, I mean ID as professor and password is 54321 is sent. Okay. So ARCS will get that if VU, which is valid user as one iterative instance of this iterable. So this will get this first entry, and we are seeing UID, which will get student and equals to arcs of UID, which will get professor. So this is false. This equality check is false. This left hand side is getting student, and this right hand side is getting professor, because arcs is reading from this URL and VU is reading from this first dictionary. Okay, so both UID doesn't match. In that case, we return you are not authorized, and what return you return exit the request. So which means we will not continue the further processing and it will exit it. Okay. So what we got, you are unauthorized. Sorry, unauthorized. It went to else part and is unauthorized. Is this question clear? Because it didn't match, we went to else part and what happened? Okay, automatically refreshed. No problem. I was here. You are unauthorized. UID and password is correct, and how it shows unauthorized. No, see, UID and password you are saying correct because you seen this second instance, huh? But what will happen? Because it's a list, it will iterate line like as object by object. The first object is this dictionary. Okay, so you got this dictionary. UID here is a student and password is 12345. And from your arguments, you are getting professor. Now you are comparing these two. So you are saying student equal to professor. Is it equal? No, it's not. So you went to else part and you returned you are unauthorized. Okay, and with this return statement you exited. So what return statement? Return statement exit the function definition, which means you are no longer inside functions active call. Okay, now you are outside, which means the value is returned and that is you are unauthorized. Okay, got it? Now the problem with this for the like if you want the correct output, like what you expect it to do, then you have to write this return you are unauthorized outside the for loop, which means when we are done iterating to all the users and we didn't find anyone which matches, in that case we will return unauthorized. But what it is doing, it is writing it parallel to if condition, which means if the first user doesn't match, return unauthorized. Okay. Okay, so this is basic JavaScript question, and here, hmm, how will we move the second option for using function? Second option, what's second option? You mean second object in this valid users? Even you can think up if you like, if you can, like turn on your mic, then it will be much easier to communicate. Okay, so yeah, if you want to check it with the second entry, then you have to remove this else from here, this return statement from else, and you have to move it outside the scope of for loop, which means once you are completed iterating over all user entries in this dictionary and you didn't find any match, all returned false. In that case, you will return your unauthorized. Okay? Are you getting? Okay. Just a second. Yes. What is your doubt? Just one more doubt. What it is? I guess you're typing it. Hmm. Till then, I'll just move to next question. Your doubt. I'll check. So, what this? Okay. You write it. If it was given student and password in the question, then it's gonna be authorized. If your first entry matches, then you will return authorized. For the current program, if your first entry matches, in that case you will say sorry authorized. And if your first entry fails to match, then you say unauthorized. Because it is a if else statement, which means if it is not authorized, then it is unauthorized. Okay. Now, this question is asking for consider the following HTML code. You have the button and on click. So on click is used to bind JavaScript to a button, and when you click that, it will do this JavaScript. It will execute this JavaScript when you click this button. So the first one is saying alert. Second one is using console log. Third one is using document write, and fourth one using console error. And what they want is which of the following greet button will print greeting on the dialog box. So what is a dialog box? Let me show that. So here if I okay they disabled that, very nice. Here if I inspect over it and I open the console, okay, nice. Here few things are there. So first thing is console dot log. It's a normal print statement. Inside console you will get a hello. Console.error, it's an error like message which is also print but in the form of error. So you got this red error and console error. Now there is document.write which will override the content. Document.write hello. So when I execute that, this one, it will erase all this content and write hello. See, sirf, only hello is present here and everything else is erased. You see? So this is document.write. And there is one more thing called alert, which will raise a pop-up when I click this. So it will raise this pop-up and it will uh, print the message on this pop-up. So this is used to create pop-up. Which one? Alert. Okay. And they are asking which will create pop-up. So alert will create pop-up. Which is using alert? First one, greet one. Okay. Is it clear? Hello? Yes. Now, this question. Okay. So for this question, this is basic class routes, but there are two things that you should know for this. First thing is what kind of error each action will produce. So if you try to access a route that doesn't exist or that doesn't matches the signature of the provided routes, then it will throw a 404 error, which is not found error. Second, one more error is if method mismatches, like if the method is given as only post and you're trying to use get method, then it will throw a 405 error, which is method mismatch error. Okay. If you try to access something which requires a password and you fail the password, then it will throw a 401 error, which is unauthorized error. If you try to access a route which is not meant for you, let's say you are a normal user and you're trying to access a route which is meant for admin, then it will throw a 403 error, forbidden error. Okay. So these kind of errors are defined there. You can actually check that. You can just say common HTTP status code, and you will get something here. MDN docs will mention that. Hmm, okay, there is a lot. Okay, you can visit this and check that. Okay, now what other thing here is this abort. So if you write abort, it will raise a certain error that you will provide as argument. So if you say 407, it will raise a 407 error. And the other thing is this error handler, which will catch that error. So you know try catch statement in Python. Same thing in Flask, you have abort and error handler, app.error handler. So you can use abort to raise the error and then you can catch that error with app.error handler. So let's see the program. Here we define this route, home, string, username, method is post. Okay, and we have this error handlers. Let's see what it is trying to access. So we are trying to access with browser with this URL, which is 5000 forward slash home forward slash user 4. Okay, so home and user 4 method is post. Okay, method was allowed post and we are trying to access from browser. By default, browser will send get request and there will be a method mismatch error which is 405. Okay, and when we get this 405 error, which means this error handler will work and we will get please check the web request. Okay, so this please check the web request will be the correct answer. Why we got this error? Because post was allowed and we make a get request. So method mismatch error, that is 405. You have to remember these error codes for such questions. Okay, is it fine? You can visit this document to check the error code and you have to remember this. How to know which error will correspond to which number? So this document is for that. This will describe each error and not everyone is important. Let me tell you which one are important. So first thing, 100, you don't need this thing. Okay. For 200 series, you require 200, 201, 202, and okay, this is fine. For 300, um, 302, 301, 307, 308. For 400, 400, 401, 402, 403, 404, 405, 406, 7, 8, and mm, 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 okay, that is fine. and then 500, 502, 503, 504, 5. Yeah, that is all. Hmm. Not many, I guess, over just 15 errors you should, 10, 15 errors you should remember. These are there. Okay, it is not necessary this kind of question will be asked, but if you remember, it will be helpful for you to debug your code and pass the exam also. Okay, and yeah. So is this question clear to everyone? Hello? Hmm. Okay, I assume it is clear. So which of the following statements are true about false about caching in REST API? 202. Yeah, it is fine. Hmm. So which is false about caching? So what caching refers? Caching refers you are storing some result for efficiency purposes. Okay. So caching allows storing server responses in proxy or front end so that the client need not to make request to the server for the same resource repeatedly. Yeah, that is the purpose of caching, that you don't make the repetitive task. You store the result of previous computed task. Okay. Uh, so the second option saying caching degrades the overall quality of service and increase load on server. No, actually it decreases the load on the server and improves the quality of service. So this one is incorrect and we have to select the incorrect statements. Browse treat all the get request and post request cacheable by default. No, this is incorrect because browser treats all the get request as cacheable by default and post are not treated as cacheable by default. Which means if it is get request, I will cache it. If it is post request, I will create new. Okay. Caching optimizes the network by increasing the latency. Caching have no effect on latency. It is effect the caching main purpose is to reduce the load on server by making less requests. So latency refers to the delay that we face or the network face. Okay. So network have no effect of caching. So these three are correct. Is it fine? Okay. I hope so. So which of the following is correct with respect to storing data in graph? So the graph database are used to store complex relationships. Okay. So data on social network can be stored with the help of graph. Yeah. For this purpose, graph database like our primary use. Okay. So this is one correct answer. Graph support storing attributes such as node, degree, edge weights, other metadata. Yeah, this is also true. Data is stored as key value pairs. No, it is not. It is stored as node, degree, edge weights, and other metadata. In graph, path finding is not important. So this is incorrect. In graph databases, path finding is the major purpose. We want to find the shortest path between two points. So these two are correct and these two are incorrect. Okay, restful uh, we have this RESTful code and we are creating the Flask app, then API instance, and then we create this resource instance where we have this post method which takes the request body and fetches these two keys, which is val1 and val2 and operator. So three keys it fetches and do some operation on that. Okay, it binds that post request to forward slash, and we run the app. Okay, let's see what they are doing. So to call this API, we are using curl. So we just need to know the correct syntax of curl here and which operator is valid. First thing, we mentioned this curl minus x post. So what is minus x? Minus x is referring, like minus x is used to mention the specific type of request that we want to make. Okay. So here we say minus x post that we want to make a post request to this location, and we send the custom header content type application slash JSON because we are using request.json. So we need to send our data as JSON type. We use this and then minus d to specify the body. Now here this part is important. You need three keys, that is val1, val2 and operator. Now val1 is there, val2 is there and operator is there. And now you need to match the operator in the following if else blocks. Okay. So if it is plus, then do this addition operator. If it is minus, then do this difference operator, or sorry, operation. And if it is multiply, then do this multiply operation. Otherwise, you will say invalid operation and raise this 401. Now, so which of the following is doing the correct thing? So you have val1, okay, 27, val2, 3, plus operator, fine. Same thing with asterisk, fine. And there, this one is using forward slash, which is not defined here. So you will throw this invalid operation error. And this is also using forward slash, and it doesn't have header also. So this is also problematic. And this one is using minus. So this one is correct. This one is correct. This one is correct. Hmm. Is it fine? Hello? Hello? Is this fine or not? If you didn't understand it, then oh, sorry, there was some background noise there. Uh, how the last part is correct option? Last option, I mean, last option is correct option. How last option is correct option? Last option is same as first two. The operator is different. See plus, multiply and minus. And if you see all three are defined plus, minus and multiply. Okay. And now this one requires some calculation, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so before moving to this one, I just cover 15 and 6, sorry, 17 and 18 also. So we have this SQL Alchemy class repair, which is having these four columns. First one is integer primary key, second one is date type, third one is date type, and fourth one is a string, the broken at fixed at any status. Now you need to obtain a list of ID, day to fix, where day to fix is a number of days between broken at and fixed at using class SQL Alchemy. Which of the following approaches will work? So which will work? Let's see. First option is saying glass repair dot query dot all. So it will fetch all the objects from this glass repair class, and then result will be RID comma r dot fixed at minus r dot broken at dot tails, and This you will do for all objects that you find. So this is correct approach. You have to give in this format RID, comma DS space, and you are giving that. Okay. Now, what second option is saying repairs is equal to db dot session dot query class repair dot. Also, this is another way of fetching the data. As I mentioned, that you can use either the class name dot query or the session dot query with the class name passed as argument. Dot all will give you the list of all objects that is present in this query, and then result equal to empty list, and you are iterating over that repairs, and then you say delta is equal to r dot fixed at minus r dot broken at, and you will append the delta comma rid comma delta dot base. Okay, so dot days will convert into dot days. Okay, so this is also fine. The third one, you are passing uh into the query itself, and no, it is not done like that. So you have to use this query object, and after that you do the operation of filtering and all that. Here this is incorrect syntax of SQL Alchemy. And fourth one, from date time import time delta, and then you said repairs dot glass repair dot query all result is equal to RID comma time delta days equal to dot days. Okay. Now what is the problem here? That you saying days is equal to, now days expects are integer, whereas what is happening here, r dot fixed at is a date object and r dot broken at is another date object. Date object minus date object returns a date object, and days expects are integer. Date object is not an integer, which means it will be a type error, and this will not execute successfully. So only first two options are correct. Yes. Okay. Now for the last this one, we want to retrieve all repairs that more than 7 days to fix. Use class SQL Alchemy. So using class SQL Alchemy, which of the following approaches will correctly yield the list of ID, comma DS prefix only for those records where DS prefix is strictly greater than 7. So first way of querying is class dot query dot filter by status equal to fixed dot all. So we find all which are fixed, and then we are checking for the time is greater than 7. Okay. So fixed at minus broken at dot base for r in repairs, and if this time delta dot days is greater than 7. So this is correct. We are first checking if the status is fixed, which means they are fixed. After that, we are checking if the time is greater than 7 days. In that case, we will append this. Okay. And then this is using SQL Alchemy import and underscore. So and underscore is the operator that we can use in filter function. So this is saying last repair dot query dot filter and operator, which means this condition should be true and this condition should be true. Now glass repair dot status equal to 6 and glass repair dot fixed and glass repair dot broken at greater than 7. Now this is incorrect, because again this is a date object and this is again a date object, and date object greater than 7 is a type error. You can say this date object dot days greater than 7, that makes sense, dot seconds greater than 7, that makes sense, but directly a date object compared to an integer is not correct. Okay. Now for the third option, db.session.query class repair.all. Okay, fine. Result empty list for r in repair. Days is equal to r dot fixed set minus r dot broken at dot days. Correct method to fetch the days. If days is greater than 7 and r dot status is fixed, result dot append RID and days. This is correct. Now repairs is equal to glass repair dot query. Glass repair ID comma glass repair. Okay, again inside query object we cannot do all this operation. So this is also incorrect, which means these two options are correct. And yeah, these are correct. Okay, I hope you understood. Is it? Try to explain the last option again. Which last option? Question number 17. Try to explain the last option again. Okay, so the problem with this one is that we this days here expects a integer. Okay, for this you need to know a little bit about the time, date time module of Python. Okay, if I import date time and if I want to create the date time instance, so I'll just show you. Specify date and time and related times, and it doesn't have this one doesn't have the date time. And here you have to mention a few things. That is, yeah, this is the format. You have to provide year, month, days, optionally hours, minute, second, microsecond, time zone information, and all of these arguments are integer type. So when you provide days equals something, that something should be of integer type. Okay. So this expects an integer, and what you are doing here is date minus date. That is another date, and date is not an integer, so this will throw error. Okay. Okay. I hope all of these are clear. Now this one is left. So see, originally you have how many character in your characters? Oh, let me read that question. I kind of remember all these questions. I have done this kind of 3 4 times. Okay, so consider a document of 2000 characters written using only the characters from the character set L1. Now, how many characters are there in L1? Is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, how many bits are required to represent 8 characters? Can anyone tell me how many bits are required to represent 8 characters, 8 character set? Anyone? No one? Okay. To represent the 8 character set, you require scaling of log base to 8. Well, why that? So that will be 3. 64, 64 bits to represent 8 characters. See, if I have a 1 bit, that means I have kind of a switch. That switch can have two values, either off or on. So to represent two values, I require 1 bit. If I have 2 bits, with those 2 bits, I can represent at most 4 values. How that? 0 0 0 1 1 0 1 1. These are 4 values. You can map to any other thing. Okay, let's say A, B, C, D. To represent A, B, C, D, I can use 2 bits. Okay, now if I have 3 bits, then I can represent 8 characters with that. try that. Okay. And here we require to represent 8 characters, which means this original document, each character was a 3-bit character. For 2000 character, we would have required 6000 bits. Okay. Now, they're saying if the character set L1 is to be upgraded by adding all the characters from the set L2, which is again 5 characters. Now, by how many bits will be the size of the original document will increase? So, to add 5 characters, this will become 13 characters. And if I take 4 bits, then I can represent 16 characters, and 13 is less than that. We can take 4 bits. Okay. Now, originally, each character was represented by 3 bits. Now, each character is represented by 4 bits. So, there is an increase of 1 bit per character. How many characters are there? 2000. So, how many bits will be increased in overall document? That will be 2000. Each bit per character. Okay? Is it fine? Okay. So, this was all for this. Okay. We completed this PYQ, and if you have any doubt, you can ask. I guess no one. Aman, you are back, so you can end this.
Yeah, yeah, I'm back.
Okay. Thank you everyone for joining, and
Thank you, Himanshu.
yeah, welcome. Bye. Good night.
Good night, good night.